All right, so you want to be an actor, or maybe you're just trying to figure out, hey, what does it take to be an actor? I got my list here, and we're going to go over in this video, because this is a fantastic panel from the Hackin' Hollywood Pitch Fest, which I put on. In this panel, you're going to have Boston Casting, who is a professional casting company, and a veteran actor, Michael Milhoen, with over 100 credits. Tin Cups, Field of Dreams, Phenomenon, Seinfeld, Saved by the Bell. He's been in everything. So in this video, you are going to learn what a casting director is looking for, how to maybe get your SAG card, become a working actor, do the work, showcases, working on your craft, learn what the job of a casting director is, and what are they looking for, because this is important. What is a casting director looking for? They just want you to be good, okay? And I shouldn't even say want you to be good. They want you to come in and blow their socks off, but without trying to blow their socks off. That's what it's about. Should you start your acting career in LA? Or could you start in your local market, and how to do so? How to nail your audition? How to self-tape? And should I send a demo reel in? A demo reel. Do you have a demo reel? What is the basics? Resume, headshot, demo reel. All right, we're gonna get into the video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. As always, sit back, grab some popcorn, and enjoy Hackin' Hollywood Pitch Fest. And I'm Brian Jalbert.
Shyla Velasquez. I am a local actress and writer, and I also help the Jalbert brothers to help this put together this event. I've worked with them on like 4 or 5 projects already, so we've established a really great relationship. And when I heard that they were putting on this festival, I volunteered to help, so that's why I'm here. And I have the honor and privilege to be able to host this panel today with Angela Peri from Boston Casting. She's got 30 years experience and is the owner and founder, and has got many credits to her name. Just to mention a few, we've got Mark Wahlberg's Patriots Day, Academy Award nominated films like Joy and American Hustle, Proud Mary, Equalizer 2, I Feel Pretty, Proposal, the list goes on and on. And with her, we have Lisa Lobel with 20 years of casting experience and is the co-owner of Boston Casting. She also has many credits to her name. Some of them are Donald Cried. She cast principals for Stronger, Slender Man, and the hit series, Netflix series, The Society. And also with us, we have Michael Milhoen, who is an actor, and some of his credits include the series Something So Right. He was also recurring on Third Rock from the Sun. He's been on That 70s Show, X-Files, The Drew Carey Show, Home Improvement, Seinfeld, and the list goes on. So those are our panelists. Those are some really awesome credits. All right, so before we get started into, I have like a whole list of questions. But I'm interested to know how you guys got into casting, and Michael, how you got into acting. So Michael, why don't you start us off since you have the mic?
Okay. I was a musician as a kid, and that's what I wanted to do. And I was on my way to doing all that. I got in a car wreck. I busted my chops up and couldn't play the trumpet anymore, so I knew I didn't want to have to work for a living, so I went out there and just started hustling. I mean, it was, just went out there and I knew that I had to do something in the arts, to be honest with you. And went out there and started working and started hustling around, doing shows, going to these things they used to do. I don't know if they do them now, called where all the actors do a little, they do a little scene and everybody from town comes to see. Yeah. Okay. In Los Angeles. Yeah, I lived out there for about 30, 40 years. I have been very, very lucky to work out there. It's a tough thing to be a working actor for that long. And, I'm, grateful that I could do it for that long. Made a good living. Didn't spend my money on heroin and whores. So I saved a little of that. And so it was good. I look at it as a business, and which is probably why I stayed as busy as I did. So, go ahead.
All right. How did you guys get into casting?
So I was an actress in the 80s, and I couldn't get any work because I had a really thick Boston accent. So I ended up figuring out, I was really smart when I was a kid. I was like, well, I'm going to go with the audition out the work. So I started interning for casting companies. And then I'd intern, and then they'd hire me for a week, and then it turned into a part-time job, then it turned into a full-time job. And I became so good at it that I'd be like, can I audition for this? And they're like, no, you have to work. So then I worked for these people for about 5 years, and worked in Italy, and worked in LA, and in Boston. And then I just decided when I turned 30, I was like, oh, I think I'm going to open my own shop. So that's how it started for me.
Yeah. So I was a preschool teacher. I went to college for education. I got a little burnt out from that, and my husband knew Angela and said, oh, she just got this big movie and needs some help. Want to help her for a few months. And I did that, and it was a good paycheck, and she was exhausted from it and said, I need a break. She used to go back and forth to Italy and said, I'm taking off to Italy. Would you mind just answering the phone and checking the mail? I can't pay you, but I don't know. Would you do that? And I was like, sure. Nothing else to do. So I'm answering the phone, checking the mail, and I called my dad and I said, I don't know. I don't have a paycheck anymore, but the phones are ringing all day long. And my dad said, well, then there's a business there, and you two just have to find it. And from there, we just started, with acting classes and, using our space and really, looking at it like a business and generating revenue and putting it all together. And it, you just stick with it long enough. And little by little by little, it grows and grows and grows. And now we have something to be really proud of.
Awesome. It's interesting as I hear the three different stories, just how, you never know, how you're going to end up in that thing that you end up doing, whether it's acting, casting, filmmaking, whatever it is, writing. And so everybody's different journeys. It's amazing. I love hearing about it. It's inspiring because we're all on our own path. We don't know what's going to happen after Hacking Hollywood Pitch Fest either, right? All right, so this panel is called Being a Working Actor in the TV and Film Industry. And I know that there's a lot that can be said about that, but if there was one thing that you could tell us, I'm going to ask the most basic question is, how does one become a working actor?
I'll tell you what, it's once again, it's a business. And so I would do these showcases is what the word I was looking for. Yeah. You get out there and you just throw yourself into it. I mean, you go and you'd be surprised, especially out in Los Angeles, everybody's out there, humping away trying to get something going. And so we would do these showcases. I went to some college out there. We did shows, and you understand, you start getting an ability to see your path. And so it's important to keep on doing it. It's important to work very hard, get up every day, and get after it. Part of the working part of it is I've told the Jalberts this. When I was first working and I'd get a job here and there and I'd have to go meet, these casting directors didn't know me and I was 20-some years old. I would get cookies. Now this may sound silly, but this is a big helpful thing. I'd get cookies or donuts or something, and when I'm not working that day, I would drive by, an office, a casting office, and I'd just walk up there and I'd put the cookies in there and I'd say, listen, I know you guys are busting your ass all day, so I just want to pop by and say, appreciate what you do, here you go. And it's a shock on their face that they'll, thank you so much for doing that. And then they tell their friends, the other girls in the office, and then I'll get called in to go do something. And then exactly. So you go in there and you go in there and but you have to come through with the work. And I've been, like I said, I've had over credits of TV and film, has passed 100 of them. And I've just stayed very busy. And a lot of it is they have to know, a producer or a director has to know if you're going to be on a set someplace. They're going to have you in some other country. They got to know that you're going to show up. You're not going to be drunk. You're not going to start a fight. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. You're going to show up. You're going to know your lines. You're going to get there early. You're going to, you're going to do the job, and you're going to be available to do the job. You'd be surprised how that helps, because they look at you now, and I know that, they would look at me and they'd say, well, Milhoan, we can get him out here, and he's not going to, he's not going to start a fire or anything, and you go do the job, and they appreciate that, especially if you can come out there and deliver on the job that you're supposed to. And so I harp on that when I talk to folks, because it's really important to be an adult in that business. In my private life, not so much, but in that business, it's very important to do that, because they got to know, that you're going to come do the gig. Here you go, lady.
I'll add to that by speaking to what you said about every day. You have to be practicing your craft every day, all the time. You have to be in theater. You have to be taking classes. You can have the right look and a beautiful headshot, and it's not going to, you have to beat out everyone else who looks like you and is your type. So, what's going to give you that edge? My daughter once said, I want to be in a movie, and she's an athlete, and I said, okay, we'll start up theater, and we'll start up acting classes, and she's like, well, I don't want to do that, I just want to be in a movie. And I said, can you show up at soccer tryouts, varsity soccer tryouts, if you never played? You can't make the team. You can't compete on that level. So you just have to every day get yourself better and better and better and better.
All right. I like to talk about money. So here's what I say. If you want to be a working actor, you got to have the hustle. Hustle's a big thing. So you got to split yourself in two. How many agents are there in Florida? How many agents? In Boston? Well, in this market right up here, Tampa, how many agents in Tampa? Anybody know? Do you know? In Boston, we have 5. We're like a small market. So I tell the Bostonians, listen, you have an agent. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, because in Boston, you don't really have to have an agent. But you need to become your own manager. You need to split yourself in two, and you need to be spending at least 4 hours a week on looking for auditions, because auditioning is your job. Getting the job is a perk. So it's a numbers game. You get 16 auditions. Out of that 16, lucky if you get 1 or 2 callbacks, and you might get the job. And if you don't, you've just met 16 new casting directors and 16 new producers that know you. And as far as the cookies, not that we condone we want you to spend money on us, but we do love cookies. What's even better than that is if you put your headshot under the plate, so when everybody finishes the cookies, there you are, right? In the Michael Shirtleaf book on auditioning from the 70s, because that's the book I read when I was an actress a long time ago, he used to say that there was an actor that wrapped his headshot, a couple of his headshots around a bouquet of flowers and dropped it off again. So stupid things like that. You have to be on I still like the postcards. I know that's so 80s, but I love a good postcard in my mail. So just those things so we remember who you are. But it's all about a hustle. And if you don't have a hustle, if you think you're in this business because your mother said you're pretty and because you think you can dance good, honey, no, it ain't happening. It's all about the hustle. So you better get your tail ready for the hustle, because it's a numbers game. What you put out is what you're going to get back.
Market where we don't have a lot of big production. That's one question. It's a 2-part. And then the other one is, and maybe Michael, maybe you can speak on this a little bit, is do you think or do you recommend that we move to a different market or bigger markets if we really want to be a working, successful actor, or can we do both?
Absolutely. That's another thing I was going to bring up. If you're going to do this for a living as an actor, right, or anything else, you got to get out there and you got to go to where the action is and go to where the big boys are playing. It's a tough thing as a young person to go on out there and try to start working, because you're not going to start working right away. You're going to have to get a gig doing something, which usually means you're a waitress or a waiter or something like that. And then there's pitfalls to this, because then you go out and you start waiting tables, and then everybody at the place says, well, let's go out and have a drink later. And then you go out and you drink, and then Next day, it's one of those things. It's got to be a business. And here's the other thing. Shakespeare said, you have to follow your bliss. And it really is true. If you're a young guy, even if you're older, you just want to go do something, it's really got to be a passion, this business, because it will beat the shit out of you, pardon my language, but it will beat you up if it's not something you have to do. And it's got to be a passion, because if it's a passion, you can look past and put up with a lot of the stuff that goes on in this business. And it's a tough thing. It's got to be a hustle. The Jalberts I met down here, and these are two guys that just keep on getting after it. And I admire their enthusiasm and their ability to just keep on working at it. It's a terrific thing. And so that's the only thing I would say is, yes, you're going to move to New York, move to L.A., go out there, let people know that you're there, like, any way you can. But get out there and start slugging it out with the big boys, because you don't know. I mean, you can play single-A baseball all you want, but then when you get up in the big leagues and look at the yackers that these guys, the curveballs that these guys have, you're not going to be able to play. So go out there and start slugging it out with the big boys. And if it's something that you're going to do for a living, you'll gravitate to it. You'll learn every day from something, from somebody or the people you run into. So I hope that answers that.
One, this is probably bigger than any of us, but like a tax credit for the state tends to bring in lots of production. So if you know any legislators, politicians, that certainly helped Boston, where we got the tax credit and all the films and TV shows started coming. And I do believe, starting out, the local smaller markets are actually a good place to start, because there are so many smaller roles cast out of wherever the big production is: Boston, Atlanta, North Carolina, Georgia, Savannah, these markets. And your competition might be a little less for, maybe a week-long day player role, where, out in LA, it might be somebody's nephew or somebody. So there are a lot of roles locally that are a good way to start before you kind of are ready to go to LA.
Okay. Did I mention the hustle? Okay, back to the hustle. So I'm a big believer in going online. Actually, start with your local Screen Actors Guild office. Where is that? In Tampa? It's in Miami. Start there. Get the list of all the casting directors. Find the ones in your area. Start hitting those. Get your list. Call your local film office. Get the list of all the agents. Start sending stuff there. And then get on those. In Boston, we have like Facebook actor groups. Hey, who's working? Is there any auditions? Like, just backstage is like the Bible. You got to get the Bible. Get the backstage. They have the magazine, and then they have the online version. And the articles are unbelievable. And it just helps the hustle, because it's all about the hustle. Remember, numbers game. You've got to get the auditions up. I say, if you're not a theater-trained actor from a college, or you haven't been in a theater group, then you should stay here and get your footing, get your SAG card, then go to LA.
All right. Yeah.
I understand. I disagree a little bit. I'm just telling you that, a lot of times when casting folks you get hired to do some gig in Florida or somebody in South Carolina, it's going to be, these 5 lines or less deal. And I guess if you're just getting started and you want to go do that, like get your SAG card or whatever, but, you're not going to get it done hanging around St. Petersburg or Tampa. It's just not going to happen. Well, I guess, you could get hit by lightning, but it's not going to happen. You get your SAG card, you got to go where everybody's at. Now, I know that's a frightening thing to be able to have to go out there and slug it out, but it's just, you don't know when you stand up in the batter's box with the big guys throwing. You don't know if you're going to be able to do it. I think we might be talking about the same thing, but it's just a difference of opinion. Yeah, well. Here you go.
So, with technology now and self-taping and all that stuff, are there opportunities or possibilities though I know that they're small, for actors here locally to have opportunities in other markets like Boston, for example? And if so, is that, would they have to work with one of the Boston agencies, or how does that work logistically for those that are just starting out and trying to learn? Okay, I'm not ready to move yet, but I'm willing to travel. Could you go into that?
We get hired to do a local casting. There's always, when a movie comes to any city, it comes with the big cast and the celebrities attached. Then it will cast everything else in that particular city. So we'll get hired to cast New England locals, which means you're not getting traveled, you're not getting flown there, you're not getting a hotel. You are a local actor working locally. You need a local address for your check to be sent to. Could that be your aunt, your best friend, your cousin? Yes. Not your hotel, but not the casting director. But that would work. Oh, my aunt lives in Boston. I can get there. I'm gonna fly myself. I'm gonna stay with her. I'm gonna use her address. Here's a self-tape. So that always works. What we don't want, when we've both been burned by this, is here's the self-tape, blah, blah, blah. Director loves you. Come to the callback. You're hired. Oh, I need to be flown in, and I need, because we're not hired to do that. And then it's like, well, why did you show us this person? This isn't our budget. So that's that.
That's the thing. Why you wanna be there, because it's one of those things. Is you, I'm sure, want to see these guys every day, even though if you're casting something, you're going to want to see the same faces most of the time show up, and the people that are there, you're going to see people that are there that are hungry, that really want to get after it. So you're going to have to go to a place where they're doing this stuff. I understand what you're saying, but I'm sure that you guys think the same way. As you start to see this same person show up, and they might not get the gig for the first 10, 15 times, but you know that they want it. You're going to have them in because they want it and because they have some talent, and that's the deal. So
the right role just hasn't come yet. You could be good enough, and we'll keep calling you, and then something will just hit, or you have to kind of speak to the director's vision in a way that none of us can really explain. It just feels right. It's art. So you don't get discouraged if you didn't work for that particular role. It wasn't because you did anything wrong. Sometimes it just has to feel exactly right.
And when it comes to casting roles, kind of on that same thought, and I know you guys said earlier, obviously, for actors to continue to study their craft and hustle. When you're looking for a specific role, how quickly would you know, if you're looking at a self-tape or even an in-person audition, that the person is a good fit for the role? Is it, if they have the talent, is it pretty quick, or?
Yeah, I've been
doing this 35 years. A minute in, I can tell.
But remember,
And then if it's good in a minute in, then I watch the rest of the 3 minutes.
Remember, we've read the entire script. We've already had phone calls with the director. We've had emails with the director. So we have this basic understanding beyond what you can see from your sides. So yeah, you have an understanding of the character. We've read the script, talked to the director, and then you watch it and you're like, yep.
And when you know it, when you see it, yay, that's it. There you go. If you don't hire him, oh yeah, I tell him like this.
Well, they don't know what they want, and they might think they know what they want, and they're all excited about, well, we know exactly what we want for this thing. But somebody comes walking into the office and gets himself on tape, doing something interesting, bringing their self to the part, and they bring it and they sell it. Believe me, I've gone in and I've seen parts where they want a 30-year-old Jewish guy with and I've gotten the thing. It's a thing. These guys don't want. They want you to tell them what they want. They want the actor to come in and tell them what they want. So that's.
So it's important for actors to make choices and come in with being themselves. But would you say that, and I'm just being real here as an actress, myself, would you say that that's more when somebody comes in? For example, you hear those stories about like, oh, the casting team was looking for this, or the director was looking for this, and then somebody walks in and is like completely different than what they originally intended. Would you say that happens a lot, or would you say, or is there, it's 50-50, or like, is that more just the exception than the rule, or are you guys pretty clear with what you're looking for?
It depends on the director. I think if you feel like that director is open to your creative vision, and a lot of them are, you say, hey, would you consider taking it in a different direction? I have a great idea,
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Once we sort of understand the director and, his or her vision, then we can kind of work within that of, helping expand their creativity a little bit.
And so we talked about a little bit about self-tapes and auditioning. How important are demo reels and show reels? Yeah.
Super important. Because we have an online database, and I'm in there. We have 8 casting directors that work at Boston Casting. And we're in that database sometimes till 4 o'clock in the morning. I found one of the sisters in The Fighter. Did everybody see The Fighter? At 4 o'clock in the morning at my house. So what I'll do if I'm stuck is I'll look at demo tapes. And I love demo tapes. And you gotta hit me hard with the first minute, make it good. You have to have your name, your contact info on there. I don't want to look at homemade tapes. It's best if you could go somewhere, like to these guys, to their production company, get a nice self-tape made of you doing a really nice piece. Don't give me the Shakespeare. I just get a little bored with that. Give me something good. You don't have to cry. I always say leave them laughing. I'd rather leave people leave me laughing than get too dramatic with me. These are, again, all my opinion, personal opinion. But I say hit it hard. Hit that self-tape hard, because casting directors that are working on something that would still need to see more people, that's where we go.
And so keep it, or they got to hit it. 3 minutes. Okay. That was awesome. All right. So let's see. I think that we are going to open it up for questions now. So unless you guys have something specific that you want to touch on, we're going to open it up for if anybody has specific questions for them. All right. So the question was, how often do you post just to the agents versus just actors access?
Yeah, so our market isn't really, they're on Actors Access, but we've been at this so long that we use agents and we use our own database called Agency Pro, and we have 100,000 people in there. So for every single movie, commercial, TV show, every role, we hit the agents and our own database. A lot of Boston started out where only sort of models, kids, commercial actors had agents, and any real film and real theater actors didn't. So it's starting to merge a little bit, but we kind of dig through our own database.
I don't care about your Instagram following, no. But some of my producers do. I did a movie where they were like, they only wanted to hire influencers. Yeah. So I had to hire a young person to tell me what an influencer was. Demo reels. Like, I was like, no, I'm not taking your friggin' self-tape. If you can't get in here to audition for me, sorry. That's how I was about 3 years ago. And now I'm like, okay, we'll take the tapes. Because I didn't think my clients liked them, but my clients don't care. I just always say, don't have your dirty house in the background. I don't want to see your dirty house. And don't do it in the bathroom. Please, I have like a whole guideline now on self-tapes, which is please have just a plain wall, and make good audio and things like that.
That's becoming huge. At least here, I've seen lots of castings where they're like, looking for this many followers or whatever.
Boston's pretty conservative, so I'd say no. Or Boston, but that doesn't mean that it might be coming up from Florida. I don't know. I think it is the wave of the future. I do. But I just worry because there's so many. Here's a FYI. There's nuts in our business. A lot of crazy people. So you got to be careful.
It's all kind of new to me, this stuff. But here's the thing. They're going to want to see the directors and the people that are going to see this tape are going to want to see you interacting with somebody. Because, you can do a monologue all day long or do any of this other crap. But the thing about it is the name of the game is, can you listen? Can you have a conversation? Can you act with somebody? Listen to what they have to say and then react to them. So that's the most, to me, I don't know, but to me that's the most important thing. So if you live in a place like you have the Jalbert brothers, or you live in a place like that, where you can go do a scene, and it can be a two-shot, but the camera's on you. They want to see you reacting to what they say. It'll look a little goofy, but these people are going to be able to see what you can do. And if it gets sent to somebody, they're going to see you talking, listening. The eyes are so important. They're going to talk to you and watch you listening to what this other person says, and have you react to them, because it's all about that, is reacting. So, the monologue doesn't do that. But, find some scene that can be from a TV show or be from a film or whatever that you really want to do, and do 3 minutes of it, but make sure it is something that is in your heart. Make sure that you're doing this scene and it doesn't have to be like the other guy did it, of course, but you can have a different point of view of the scene and different point of view of who you are and what goes on in the scene. Because they want to see that. Like I said, they have no idea what the hell they want until you show it to them. So,
yeah, I agree. Have a reader, someone that you know, right next to the camera, who's going to look right at your eyes and do that scene with you.
Any other questions?
Woo! I love the quote, what is it? Dress to suggest. So if you're going to be the doctor, or you don't need your full scrubs or but make that part of your character hinted a little bit. If you're coming in as a soccer mom, don't wear big high heels and a mini skirt. This is not what we want. So your job is partially to sort of, be in that mode a little bit. Thank you.
All right, so we are, I think I saw a hand over here. Okay, one here and one there. Oh, and then we got to wrap it up.
I love Florida.
Yeah, we should get outside. Yeah. Yeah. Or New England. Yeah, yeah.
All right, next question.
yeah, well, something. Yeah, something. I think I know what you're saying here. It's, it is a business deal. It is a business thing, and you got to decide. Like they were saying, and I can attest to this, especially out there in Los Angeles. Excuse me. It's very, very, very. It's the most competitive business in the world. So you have to decide, for instance, whether you want to, hang out at night and go posture, like a lot of that happens in places like Los Angeles and LA, by Boston. You know, I used to write a little bit for Spencer for Hire. I don't know if you guys were around for that thing. Yeah. This back then? No. Anyway, it was interesting how the unions worked up there. But yeah, they're a bunch of thugs. So it was, but you have to decide if this is going to be your calling and your business. Personally for me, I had a lot of ambition. So I wanted to go do this. And I had something to prove to everybody, And so I just stayed busy. I went after it. And you have to decide, well, do I want to hang out with this group of friends that are, every once they'll work once a month or something, and the rest of the time they're going into these clubs with sunglasses on and, and waving and all that crap. Or you can learn that, this is a biz and start reading stuff and writing letters, writing notes to the casting people, writing notes to, Amblin Entertainment or whatever. I mean, half of these things don't get seen, but after a while they're going to say, this son of a bitch with the beard and the thing, let's call this guy because he's driving us nuts. If it's sincere and honest and you have then they're going to go ahead and they're going to want to talk to you because, you're going to be different than 90% of the people out there that are just posturing. They don't want to have a job. They don't want to do anything for a living. So they come out there and decide that they're going to pretend they're somebody else for a living. So that's just one person's opinion.
Be likable. I mean, look at these two gentlemen. Like, who wouldn't want to invite them in, read lines with them, know that they're going to be trustworthy and on time and take direction? That's what we're looking for, not the pain in the asses, as Angela says, or emailing after, oh, can I do it again? My audition was terrible. What should I do better? Just come in and get it done, Do your part. We're in the same boat. We want to cast this thing too. We're terrified of our director, producer. We want to get hired back again. We're in the same boat, same team. Yeah.
All right, I think we had one more question.
You don't go on set.
We try not to. I mean, it's really different. Are you talking commercials, films, TV? They all sort of have a different hierarchy of a hiring process, So, once the actor gets hired, the director makes his pick, the studio signs off on it, we write the deal with all the particulars and the money and the everything, send that off to production. They look it over, and then they take it over to do the official contract. We'll give you your days, and then after that, we're kind of out of the picture. Does that answer the question? Yeah. TV's a little different. There's more, I find. There's a more hierarchy. Like if you're doing a Netflix TV series, it's not just one director, one producer. There's, pages of people exactly at Netflix and here and there and LA casting, and it gets approved by 50 people first.
Thank you. So actors, study the craft, hustle, 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 get your SAG card locally, and then make the moves. Thank you guys. We're going to take a little break.
Thank you. You too. I love you. He's a great guy.
All right, beautiful people, if you enjoyed that video, click this one right here to watch more. And if you want to subscribe, click right here.